Hey everybody, it's William Carter here with InquisitiveCarter.com.
How do you think your upbringing helped play the part in how you handle your business today?
Well, I had about it parents. My mother is a retired college professor. My father transitioned some years ago. I'm an only child. I grew up in the Bronx and the Boogie Down Bronx and in Harlem and Puerto Rico. But because I was an only child, I had love, so much love between my mother and father. They poured on to me and into me. They gave me the great education. They also told me that I could do and be anything I wanted to be. Now, I feel like crying saying that because I know there's so many people who don't have that kind of encouragement. My success, my ability to feel that I could do just about anything comes from inspired, attentive, nurturing parents. So I have to start by giving them credit. My daddy used to play the radio in the house all the time. So my love of radio, I have to attribute to my father. My mother tells me when I was a baby in the walker, you know, those little walkers with the wheels and a
Mhm.
kid can kind of get around. My mother said I pulled the radio on top of me. And I still have a scar in my forehead because those radios had the big tubes,
Mhm.
big. My mother said that was the beginning for me, as far as she's concerned, that I was destined to do radio. So nurturing parents, parents that just, and when I found my passion with music and radio, my parents said, go for it, girl. I dropped out of college. My mother was disturbed about that, but I got a job immediately. Shortly after I dropped out at WHUR 96.3 in Washington, D.C. It's the home of the original Quiet Storm, and in fact, where I met Kathy Hughes. But when I lived in DC, it was Chocolate City, and it was a really strong Black environment, much like where I had come from in Harlem. So my parents, I have to give them the credit. And then I have a group of nurturing friends and family that are like, go girl. And their thing is, you win, I win. You fail, I fail. So that's the kind of family and group of friends and parents that have empowered me to be a messenger and an advocate for our culture and our music.
So, what was it like for you leaving college, going to WHURs, being a part of radio, especially for such a station? Because even here, like we still listen to WHUR. It's always going to get played. But like seeing where you started in the radio industry to where it's taken off and kind of like diverged into these different paths.
It was extremely exciting, William, to go to Washington, D.C. in 1973, post the civil rights era, where Black people were fired up and about us having real factual change in our communities. And WHUR was then, continues to be, a clarion station with strong news, community affairs, and music that was relevant to the struggle. So that's where my foundation, Bob Nighthawk Terry and John Paul Simpkins. Bob Nighthawk Terry was seen in the movie Talk to Me. If you haven't seen it, have you seen that, William?
Yes.
The movie Talk to Me? Okay, so Bob Nighthawk Terry, the gentleman with the dogs,
Mm.
that's who gave me my break in radio. And the general manager, John Paul Simpkins, was an attorney in Philadelphia, was the general manager. So I'm forever grateful to them. But I loved being in an environment that was Black. I had a Black bank, Black dentist, Black doctor, Black gynecologist, Black dry cleaners, where I shopped for food, Black grocery store. That made me feel good to be able to recycle my dollars back into Black businesses. And it's what we need to be doing. I support other businesses as well because I believe in humanity. I love being a Black Puerto Rican woman, but I love fellow human beings. I know that just because your complexion is white doesn't mean that you don't have a pulse and a heartbeat and synapses like I do. We just have variations. And but being a Black woman in DC in the 70s at WHUR very exciting. And it set the tone for the rest of my career as a broadcaster, as a music activist.
And I had to ask you, where did the name Ebony Moonbeams come from? Because when I read it, I'm just like, there is something like it popped off to me. I'm like, I like this, you know?
Yeah, so did I. I was walking down the street in New York and I was about to host a cable television show on a public access channel in Harlem based on 125th Street. So I needed a name for my show. And we're talking 1972 now. So I was walking down the street with a girlfriend named Sophia, and a searchlight, a spotlight, I saw it going up in the sky, and it looked like it was going directly to the moon. It was a full moon. And I said to her, I said, "Ooh, look at that." I said, "It's a moonbeam." And then I was like, I got it, because everything was black, ebony at that time. And I put it together. I had a large afro. You know, I had friends who were Black Panthers and Young Lords. I was like, boom, drop the mic. Ebony Moonbeams. That's my name. And that's where it came from.
No, I liked it. I liked it. So, given all the career change that you've gone through, from radio, journalism, artist development, artist training, do you feel like artist development and media training is like kind of like a lost art form in the age of social media? Like when you see how, because me personally, I watched how Cardi B was just on Instagram doing 15-second clips to go to Love and Hip Hop to now have this massive empire, and how Lil Nas X took one song and just kept spinning it and kept spinning it and kept spinning it. And they both made like their own way off of social media prior to having any type of management, training, development, anything.
Yeah, my career has evolved in different ways, but it's all still, it's like, think of the trunk of a tree, and then there are these branches. That's how I tend to think of my career and my life experiences professionally, and my passion for Black music. It's all connected, because I've had people say, "Well, what do? You do too much. You do a lot." I was like, "No, I do as I please, and I do as God has provided me opportunities." I've been blessed. I've been blessed to be able to pick up the phone and folks say, "Are you available to this? Can you do this? Can you be a part of this?" So that's just kind of how I am. Ambitious, I'm driven, I'm anything and any opportunity to develop human content. I'm all for that. So to your point about social media and these artists, because you're right, Lil Nas X started on TikTok. Cardi B, social media, but they're speaking to us. And given the technology, because technology is growing and going as human beings keep developing it, those two artists that you cited use the technology that was FREE, free, and they used it to their advantage. So the old models of the music industry, where people had to get a record deal to be seen and heard because they were the distributor and they had the relationships with retail, all of that is over. The internet has created an even playing field for artists to be able to connect directly to their audiences. And I think that's a great thing. I tell people all the time they're like, "What do I do? How do I get an audience?" I said, "Start building it on social media." William, record labels are signing artists based on their social media. There are people who all they do all day long is comb to see who has the highest numbers, who has a built-in audience. And these record companies are then giving singles deals, or maybe just an EP deal, to see if they can get that already built-in audience to support and nurture them even more. That's what happened, part of what happened with Cardi B, because Cardi B had a strong following. Love and Hip Hop made it even bigger, and then she just took it from there. Cardi B is the everyday Bronx Nuyorican sister, and people can relate to her. She is a straight no chaser, and oftentimes she's articulating what some people think, but are reluctant to say. So that has been part of her success, is she's a real deal, straight no chaser.
Do you feel like, because I know like recently there's been like a lot of talk on social media in terms of record labels. Do you feel like record labels are becoming the way of like the dinosaur, like becoming extinct, or you think they're just going to have to change with us?
Oh, record labels have changed and are changing with us. And no, they are not. The music business overall last year generated $20 billion. Not $20, not 20,000, no, 20 billion. So record companies are still in business, they're still thriving. People are streaming music. We don't buy music the way I did when I was a teenager or even a younger woman. People are streaming. The digital platform services are hugely popular. Tidal, Spotify, Apple, they're very, very popular. And young people and most music consumers are streaming music to the tune of adding to those numbers of $20 billion. So no, record companies remain relevant. They were slow to make the change and embrace the internet. Remember Napster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where things file sharing started kicking off. And the record companies got indignant, did their best to shut it down. They were successful shutting it down. But at some point, they all got together and said, this internet thing isn't going away. We need to get with the program. And so, yeah, record companies are here to stay. But thank goodness for independent artists,
mm-hmm.
because they can use that same internet to their advantage. And many are doing that.
It's funny because Napster was kind of like the catalyst for the change. But I was doing research like early this year, and like last year, the data that I received, I don't know about this year, but last year Napster was one of the highest payouts for artists in terms of streaming. So they were
really?
Napster, then it was Tidal. And then at the bottom, it was like Spotify and YouTube and something else. But Napster and Tidal were the top two.
Look at that. I didn't even know Napster was still in existence.
Me neither. I was doing the research and I'm just like, Napster's still here? They didn't get rid of it. Like,
yeah. They bought Napster, one of the major labels or something. They bought it, but I didn't even know. I haven't even heard anybody say Napster in forever, except for me and you right now.
No, because I was completely caught off guard by that. Just like you, because I didn't think it was still around. I thought, you know, when the lawsuit went down, that was it.
They shut it down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they said we had to come back legal this time. So one of the artists you worked with in the past is Rihanna. And this year, actually, Pon de Replay, her first single, just came out like last week. And so it is officially her 15th year in the industry. So seeing her growth from beginning to now, is there anything like you personally witnessed back then to seem like you knew this was going to happen, or like just seeing how she transformed from the shy island girl to this in-your-face artist who gives you lingerie, gives you high fashion, gives you makeup, and gives you pro-Blackness and political power?
Love, love, love Rihanna. I haven't seen her in a long time. I worked with Rihanna on her very first album. So I worked with her 15 years ago. And I knew then. Jana Fleischman was her publicist. Jana Fleischman still works with Jay-Z. And Jana hired me to work with Rihanna. And when I met her, first of all, when she walked in, she's tall, she's statuesque. She is all kind of gorgeous. I mean, just drop dead gorgeous, or drop alive gorgeous. And I told her then, I said, I predicted what has transpired. So I am not surprised. I look forward to seeing her at some point where I can just hug up on her and say, as a Black woman, as a Black entrepreneur, I have great regard for how she has transformed and continues to elevate. And I have great regard for how she cares. She has donated millions of dollars to various entities through her foundation named after her grandmother. And she has encouraged other people to join her in giving, especially to the first responders in New York. But she has been giving money out left, right, up, down. So I love her evolution as an artist, because I tell my clients all the time, you can't just take from the people that support you. You got to give back. That is important. So yes, love Rihanna, salute Rihanna, wear Fenty, love my Fenty clothes and my Fenty makeup. So great regard, yes. And I can't wait for the new music.
Right. We may have to wait a little bit longer, but it'll be here eventually.
It's all good. Look,
Right.
I waited for Maxwell. I waited for Sade. I waited for D'Angelo. I'm good. It
Right.
was satisfying. The wait was worth it.
Right. Why do you think these now, you know, we call them stands, how like so many people they can't wait, you know, because like it wasn't like this a couple years ago where artists was literally, you know, here's a single, here's a single, here's a single, here's an album, here's an album, here's an album. Like even in the early 2000s, it was single, 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 then album. Then you're still promoting the singles you already did. Then you may get another single and another video. Compared to now, when it's like instant gratification.
Well, the internet has played, again, and social media has created that kind of immediacy and appetite, and our culture in general. Literally, I was texting with somebody the other day and they said, okay, I just sent it to you. And I'm talking to them and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I haven't gotten it yet. I mean, literally a few seconds passed and I'm like, I was bitching. I was like, where is it? And they said, oh, I emailed you. Because I was looking for text message and they had emailed me. But the immediacy, we're so used to it as Americans. And even when you travel overseas, it ain't like we have it here. Some places, yes, but go to Africa, go to Jamaica. That's why they say soon come. You will be waiting for a minute. It's not gonna happen like when you want it. So we need to learn to develop a little bit of patience. I have a client right now, Queen Naja. Do you know Queen Naja?
Yes.
Butterflies 2, part 2 is out right now. But her people, her admirers, her fans, her fan base are like, where's the album? Where's the album? Hurry up, give us this record, give us this music. And there's tremendous pressure on a creative to produce. And if a creative is really about their creativity, they don't want to just be, just pumping it out like that.
Right.
She's making music, but she's also taking her time because she wants it to be right. And questioning people's creative processes. Hey, not everybody can create on demand. And so some artists like the aforementioned Sade, Maxwell, D'Angelo, they took 10, 11, 12 years to release their new music. And in the case of those three, D'Angelo is my best friend. So I know what was happening in his life during that period of time between the 2000 release of Voodoo and when he released The Vanguard. Part of it, he was living life and dealing with what the transformation of what has happened to his life as a result of releasing Brown Sugar, then Vanguard. Everybody's creative process is different. And this is not McDonald's creativity. Some artists can pump it out and others take their righteous time. But I do want to hear new music from all of the above. But in the interim, I still listen to the tried and true, timeless music those artists have created. And there are plenty of new artists. I mean, I'm listening to Victory Boyd and
she's so talented. I saw her live at Essence Festival in 2018, and I just had to just stop and just listen and watch because she just had something on the stage, and it just captivated me.
So you were in the lounge?
Yes.
I was there.
See?
How come you didn't speak to me, William? William.
I couldn't see nothing.
Yeah.
That was my first.
I love Nicole Buss. That was your first time at Essence?
Yeah, and I want to go back. It was so beautiful. It was so like, just like how you say when you went to DC and you had all these Black businesses, all these Black entities. Me going to Essence Festival, I'm just like, I was just so happy to see so many Black people, not only on stage, but in the audience. And even when you left, and like how they have the section with all the food trucks and everything, like I'm just like, it just made me, even the hotels, it just made me like so full, just seeing Black people striving and happy. Even if it was only for those 3 days, it was something that like I put on to my friends, like, hey, listen, we need to go experience this one time as a group. And it just, we have to go. And I was going to go again this year, but things happen out of my control.
It's going to be virtual. It's going to be virtual this year. So that something will go on. I was communicating with Corey Murray last week, who is the entertainment director for Essence, has been there for a long time. In fact, I just wrote a story on essence.com last week before last. I'm losing track of time in this pandemic, on Betty Wright, on her passing recently. Yeah.
Look that up.
But I'm with you on Essence. I lived in New Orleans for 20 years. So I've been to every Essence festival with the exception of when they went to Houston post Katrina. So yes, I share your sentiments regarding Essence. And it's Black owned now. Yay, again. Yay.
That part.
Yeah, yay.